Hello? Hello! Magindarang araw, Maya Magindara, Cannibal Mermaid VTuber. Finally, nasimulan na tong stream na to. Wait, hold on. Let me know if the audio is okay or may issues ba? First. Okay, welcome to the stream, Ivan. We have a poll right now. We're gonna talk about Philippine folklore na medyo na-delay kasi binagyo ako. It's usually the last Saturday of the month. Binagyo ako, there was no electricity for days. So, it got delayed to sakto Halloween. So, I have a bunch of folklore from BGM is as strong as my voice. Okay. Mahina na ba? I think kasi mahina yung voice ko and not the BGM. Anyway, okay na ba? No kapre? May kapre later. 5 lang kasi yung kasya sa ano. 5 lang yung kasya sa Twitch poll. So, I can't put kapre. Tikba lang muna yung inuna ko dyan. Madami naman eh. I was thinking if gagawin natin siyang parang karaoke stream but instead of singing, I'll just be like taking requests for folklore stories. Hello pizza, welcome to the stream. There's currently a poll. Encanto is winning. Encanto po yan na Filipino, not Encanto like pag pre mo rin siya, kapre. Yeah, ganun tayo, tito jokes. Alright, wait. So yeah, usual folklore story times happen like last Saturday of the month. Hindi siya naganap kasi bagyo. And I've been out of electricity for the last 2 days, out of water for also the last 2 days. Ang hirap nang hindi naliligo guys. Naligo na ako, promise. Sa kamahal na araw oh, may kapre. Kapre talaga. Amoy patis talaga. Akala ko amoy tobacco yung kapre. Tapos nanliligaw ng random chicks. Shorties. Kapre mahilig sa shorties eh. Yun yung alam ko. Yun yung pagkakaalam ko. Yun yung kwento nung mga matatanda sa amin. Yung kapre laging nanliligaw ng kung sino-sino. Uy! Naligo na ako. 2 beses pa nga ako parang ayoko na. Anyway, ganda nung ad dun sa dulo, no? While we're at it, magde-debut na po yung first Gen Zero ng Balangay Live. That would be Liwayway. This November 19 and 20. November 19 would be Bibi Bakunawa and Mino Minokawa. Tapos, thank you for the stretch redeem pala. For November 19, that would be Bibi Bakunawa and Mino Minokawa. And then for November 20, that would be Sai Sai. Nangangamay. Hindi ako amoy patis guys. Soy sauce po yung gusto. Namili no. Gusto ko po toyo. Kung mangangamoy lang din naman akong toyo po. Okay? Okay. Ano yung nananalo sa poll? Nananalo yung Encanto. Just so you know, like, scary yung Philippine monsters, but the Encanto are the scariest of them all. I don't care kahit gaano kaganda sila. Encantos are the worst. Wag niyo akong isusumbong kay Magi. Okay? Anong pwedeng pag-aralan? Okay. Anong Encanto? Ang dami ko palang binookmark na Encanto tales. Okay, sige. Encanto, the scariest people. Okay, sige. Lagay na natin yung story title. Oh yeah, yung source nga pala natin. I should put yung source ng lahat ng literature. Most of it. That would be Philippine folk literature. Anthology by Damiana Eugenio. I would like to greet happy birthday. Okay. Ano yan? Anong copy pasta yan? Pakipadala na lang po sa kanila. Hala, hindi nagkasya. Okay. Ayan po, meron na po yung source natin. Okay. First story. Grabe, ano yan? Copy-paste po ba yan? Okay. So this is the story Denizens of Fairyland from Cebu. Um Hello, Coffee. We're just starting with our first story about Encanto, which are the worst. So, having to do with demonology and angelology is the belief common to all nationalities that supernatural beings, as delineated in folklore, are either beneficent or malevolent towards man. Even the denizens of Fairyland, who are understood to be mostly helpful, are thus classified. So are the Banwaanon of the Cebu Visayas people. As fairies, grabe may history pa no. As fairies, the Scandinavian Tomtegubar, the English pixies, the Irish shees, the French goblins, the German poltergeist, the Spanish duendes. All these are conceived as hello. Thank you for the raid, Big P. We're just in time. We're talking about Filipino fairies. Wait lang ah. Filipino fairies, Filipino um wait lang ah. Filipino Encanto, as they're more commonly called. Potionomics. I tried playing that. I sucked at it. ah, ang hirap kaya ng Potionomics, guys. It's 50% economics. Ah, wait, Potion Crafter pala inisip ko. I wanna play Potionomics. Yan yung may dating, di ba? Yan yung may ano. Yan yung may big fat walrus guy. Anyway. Yeah. Going back to the story, kasi baka hindi na ako makabalik later. We're talking about Philippine folklore. We're talking about the Banwaanon of the Cebu Visayas region. Muktuk, best boy. There have no exact counterparts in other cultures. They are endowed with the shapes and sizes of human, with the features and complexion of Occidentals. Problematic. Mainly on account of these characteristics, they are sometimes referred to as Castilla. Problematic. Banwaanon in the Cebu tongue means of the jungle. In this respect, the Banwaanon are therefore similar to Scandinavia's Tom Tegubar or diminutive old man, who are supposed to inhabit forest lands. A minority of the Banwaanon are thought of as witches, who cast their vice spell not only to fellow Banwaanon but also to some humans who are so unlucky as to wander unwittingly in their habitat. Sana all endowed with the shape of a human. Ako naman endowed with the shape of a human. Shape lang. Here in the Philippines, as in other countries, there are those who claim to have laid eyes on fairies of one kind or another. They are not usually taken seriously, but they don't interpret this reaction implying that they are conveyors of untruths, nor do they insist on their claims, which they themselves know are too fantastic to entertain. Ang haba ng intro, eto na yung simula ng kwento. My father was one such individual. Father had heard that the Banwaanon since as far back as he could remember. By the time was 20, different accounts told by different people had amounted to sort of persistent indoctrination, all to no avail. The man consistently refused to be imbued with anything resembling faith in hearsay. He doesn't believe in fairies. Even as a minor, he showed the makings of a cynic. He had to see in order to believe. It would seem that the Banwaanon, or at least one of them, decided to do something about making Father believe in fairies. So one day, Father took it into his head to explore a vicinity of a friend's place in a mountain. Oops, natamaan yung mic ng libro. Sorry. Half an hour or so later, he strayed from the trail, cut through underbrush, until he came upon a stream on the side of which stood a white cliff with a sort of ledge in the middle. Kasi nga cliff siya. Ano ba yan? Ano ba yung pagkasulat nito? Against the setting sun, the cliff was half in shadow from the ledge down. Father paused, noting the silence broken only by the sound of the flowing water and the singing birds from near and far. He struck a match to light his cigar that had gone out minutes before. When he looked up, he saw a barefooted woman in a patadyong sitting on the ledge of the cliff. The loveliest ever, with long golden hair and the fairest of skin. Kamukha siguro ni Maji, but like conservative. Thank you, Wolfie. So, father saw this conservative Magi sitting by the cliff. The cigar fell from father's mouth. Oh my god, chicks. Agape and pop-eyed, he stared at the apparition. He recovered his wits, and he was reminded of all the tales he had heard about the Banwaanon. He quickly turned to retrace his steps on the double. Once father had told this tale for the nth time, mother remarked, "You should have talked to her or waited for her to talk to you." And she wasn't kidding. While she herself has never seen so much as a fairy or a banwaanon, she could accept that, they're real and that these experiences really do happen to other people. She believed, and still does, that the banwaanon appear only to certain people, like dad. And somehow mom's okay, like, "Hi, dad, invite that sexy blonde woman into our home. It's fine. I won't get jealous. I also want to see her." I don't know. I'm giving the mother a personality now. My mother used to tell me not once but many times that when you are alone in the woods and you hear an invisible baby crying in a tree, say this out loud: "Let me be the godfather." I don't want to be the godfather of some random baby. The first time I heard this, I said I might, given the opportunity. And what would happen if you did? If you hear a random baby, sabihin mo, "Gusto ko maging ninong, let's go." I would rather run. I know, right? Mother didn't know, and she knew what had previously happened to a man under the same circumstance. According to the story, the Banwaanon's parents, with their infant son, materialized before the man. If you tell, this random baby, "Hi, ako magiging ninong mo," suddenly you'll see the baby's parents. "Come," they said without preamble, leading the way. After the baptismal rites, wow, may binyag talaga, which were performed in an edifice of splendor, the man was asked by his new compadre and comadre if what he wished to possess above all else. The man, unlettered and no sharp trader, could think only of the scarcity of clothing materials in the town he came from. He said, "Balls of cloth of different colors." The fairy couple, having heard that, answered as one, "You shall find them in your house when you return, but you must remember never to tell anyone where you got them." I know, right? Baptismal, saucy, diba? With that, they transported the man back to where he had been before, near the tree where he had heard the baby crying. He hurried home, mostly believing and only slightly doubting the promise of his new friends. So it was not without surprise when, entering his home, he found the balls of cloth of different colors, a whole dozen of them. In no time, the neighbors got, heard of this because Filipinos were fucking chismoso. And so they called these the mysterious goods. "Oh, hello, Leon. Nandito ka pala. Hi." In no time, the happy owner started selling them by the yard. Every one of the customers asked him where he had obtained the merchandise, and, he had to answer vaguely. The town officials, though, got jealous and suspicious, and he pressured the man and forced him to tell them where he got the cloth, or else he'll go to jail. Yeah, this is a story after the Spaniards arrived. The man, who was simple-minded and easily scared, mentioned the Banwaanon as the giver of the gift. And even as he confessed, the cloths, including the portions already sold, vanished into nothingness. Imagine if you were wearing clothes from this cloth, and then this man confessed, and then suddenly you're naked. Yeah, saucy. To be envious is not only reprehensible, it was once punished as a major crime, my mother would say, and for proof she would say another tale about the Banwaanon. Oh my god, this is 3 stories I should have read ahead. There was a house help by the name of Juana, who was well known as the town idiot. She was the ugliest among all the women in town. Poor Juana. Her most pronounced imperfection was a turned-up nose with the glaringest of nostrils. A nose, in short, that could pass for the business end of a double-barreled shotgun. Savage. In addition, her eyes were curiously bloodshot, as if she did nothing but drink tuba all day, and her complexion was muddy beyond help. To complete her woes, she was thick-lipped and buck-toothed. That's fine. An apology for a young woman, physically speaking. She tried to forget the misfortune that was her face, but the town wouldn't let her. At every turn, on the slightest provocation, she would be reminded that she's ugly. Foremost among her tormentors was Luisa, the most beautiful girl in town and the lone daughter of Juana's employers. Other girls' jokes about Juana's terrible looks was mainly good-natured. Luisa's were deliberate, malicious, and cruel. Luisa, in fact, was so cruel to Juana. So one could take only so much and no more. When poor Juana was ironing some of Luisa's expensive gowns one morning, she somehow burned it. Luisa was mad and slapped the hapless maid several times and kicked her down the stairs for good measure. That's murder. That's almost murder. Telenovela to, guys. As Juana rose, wailing from a horizontal position on the foot of the stairs, Luisa told her to go drown herself in the sea. Disregarding the recommended place, Juana took the opposite direction, heading on the run to her parents' home in the back country. In the afternoon, before reaching her destination, she paused to have a cool drink from a spring that was close to a familiar cave. On her way to continue her trip, she took the first few steps to pass by the mouth of the cave when she saw a middle-aged woman that's very, very beautiful. She stopped and gasped. The fairy, Juana observed, was holding half a dozen plates. "These dishes are so dirty from disuse," the fairy told Juana. "Hello, Sigbins, how are you? Would you break them and throw the pieces into the river for me?" And so she did. She left with the plates for the river a little further ahead. Arriving there, she got a hold of a stone to which to crack the porcelain plate to bits. Then she hesitated. Why not just wash them with sand and water instead? This is exactly what she did, and she brought the shining clean plates back to the Banwaanon woman in the cave. The cave woman with plates. "Okay, you are a wise child," the fairy said, and thanked her. "From now on, you will be ugly no more. Show yourself to the townspeople." To make this short story longer, Juana had to identify herself to the people. So beautiful had she become. Luisa, now sweet to her, wanted desperately to know why or how she transformed. Juana told her everything, but ended her story at the juncture of the fairy telling her to pulverize and cast the dishes into the stream because Juana, for being the town idiot, is kind of smart. It's like, "I'm not telling you how to end this, solve that for yourself." Luisa, losing no time, ran to the site of the miracle, and she met the fairy, and she was told the same thing about the plates. In her hurry to have herself transformed into the most beautiful woman ever, she obeyed the fairy to the letter. When she reported that her chore, which was shattering all the dishes to smithereens and heaving them into the river, had been finished, the fairy said, "Thank you, you may go." And then she got changed into something that was uglier than Juana was ever before. Fortunately, the book does not, you know, it doesn't say what she looks like because old-timey stories are problematic when it comes to what ugliness looks like. So that's it. That's what we have about the fairies from Cebu, or the Banwaanon. Let me see, what do we have? Mhm. May nagreklamo kanina na walang kapre, right? Kapre, aswang. Duwende? Mags, can you increase 10% on voice? Naka-max na siya. Naka-max na siya. Lalapit ko na lang yung mic sa bibig ko, okay? Wait, hold on. May gain ba ako? May gain naman ako. Wait, hold on. Better? Better. Hello? Salamat. What other monster stories do I have? Capre, Aswang, Duende, Sirena, Diablo, Betterer. Let's have another poll. Poll. Not to be mistaken as bold. Poll. Ah, meron pala akong browser source nun. There we go. Is it? Awesome yun. Where did it go? Ang layo ng bold sa poll. Not if you... Not with that attitude. Uy, sino yung mahilig sa Diablo dyan? Kanina pa boto ng Diablo. You have 1 vote for Diablo, 1 vote for Capre. Buti Diablo, Dida. Ano yung other way around? Ano yung other way around? Wait lang. Ano yun? Wala. Last stream yun na topic yung mga anghel-anghel. Ah! Okay, got it. Hindi ko nasasabihin. Baka parang si ano lang yan. Ganito, welcome to the stream. Dati may puno ng akasya malapit sa amin. Since naputol yung puno na yon, dumalas ng mga amoy patis din sa amin galing sa likod. Actually, meron talagang puno na amoy patis. Like, not kidding. Merong isang puno dito sa amin na seasonal, nangangamoy pa siya ng bata. I hate it so much. Pero meron talagang puno na yun yung amoy. Okay, guys. Meron talagang puno na yun yung amoy. Dami palang storya na nakaano dito ng... Saan page ko nilagay yung... Wag mo ako mauwo-uwo, Terry, ah. Meron pala akong Nuno stories dito. Wala si Mino. Si Mino yung mahilig sa Nuno, eh. Saan ko nilagay yung... Alright, 2 votes for Capre, 1 for Diablo. Sasabihin ko sana si Bloja yung yung horseman. Anyway. Capre! There we go. Sino si Terry? Wala lang. Ewan ko kung bakit Terry yung tawag. Basta Terry. Okay? Terry Honor. Ano na naman to eh? This is another... Parang compilation lang siya ng short Capre stories. Oh, di ba? Fancy yung spelling ng Capre, letter C. Kinokopya ko lang po yung title sa libro. Okay. Is there a Capre in the house? Picture a 10-foot tall. Also si Maji. Ano yan? Na-distract ako. May nag-discord. Tama yan. Anyway. Picture a 10-foot tall black man leaning against a coconut tree as he sits smoking a meter-long tobacco, and you have the popular conception of what a Capre looks like. Mahaba din yung buhok niya, and amoy daw siyang patis. Is there a Capre in the house? They say he can cover a kilometer with a single step. Despite his frightening looks, the Capre is generally noted for his playful pranks and for kidding victims out of their wits. Yeah, sure, funny prank. You almost died. So, our first story is about the playful Capre. Out in Silonay, a small barrio in Calapan, Mindoro Occidental, they still say that a capre which inhabited the place once used to remove house ladders and staircases to other places. Whenever there's a party, this capre sometimes ruined it with being really, really stinky. This doesn't seem like a fun prank, guys. Kapapers? Oo, sige. Capers. Sorry, yun talaga yung spelling dun sa ano yung binabasa ko eh. The capre, as the Silonay folks love to tell, often relaxed against the fat trunk of a coconut tree that's near the town cemetery. Cocheros doing passenger service from the wharf to the cemetery and on to Silonay and Calapan have been the favorite victims of the capre's whims. Sometimes the horses would run backwards upon reaching the cemetery. But when jeepneys came, the capre and his stunts disappeared. Ewan ko, coconut yung nandito, binabasa ko lang naman. Look up in the tree, that's where you'll find me. They call me Capre, the Bigfoot of the Philippines, smoking cigars all day. Get yo, yo, yo. Sana may Capre VTuber uli, no? Meron actually isa na babae. Send ko later. Pero like, she's not based in the Philippines. So, hindi ko maabutan yung streams niya. Pwede coconut kasi pag tingin mo sa taas may... Tama yan. I'll send it. Send ko later para ma-avoid mo ilo. Another Capre story is about a house in Capiz. Out in Capiz, there is a house that set a whole town agog some time ago. Owned by a lawyer, this house stood facing the town plaza with the Rizal Monument on one side and the church on the other. Capiz na naman, oo. The backyard had a water well where neighbors fetched water in this house every day. No one lived in this house except an old woman relative of the lawyer house owner. She lived in a small room on the ground floor. One evening, as the Angelus pealed, so that would be around 6 p.m., sounds of falling stones on its galvanized iron and roof and wooden walls caught the attention of neighboring houses. The stoning continued at regular intervals. Oh yes, stoning. Big stones fell on the roof, followed by small ones. Who was it? The people wanted to know. Since the house was located on a street corner, the occurrence attracted quite a crowd. The stones seemed to come from the backyard. Since the prankster must be hiding behind the trees, the people shouted, "Who's there?" A torrent of stones on the roof and the sides like machine gun fire was the answer. The curious strained their eyes to catch a glimpse of the apparently flying stones but saw no one. So they called the police. Yeah, they called the police. I know, right? Panay bigatin all strange and wacky. Stoning, may bato. Huwag niyong sumbong sa police, guys. Every nook of the backyard was searched but they found no one. All they heard was the sound of rushing feet and a horde of mosquitoes swarming around them under the trees. At 10 p.m., the stoning ceased. Naubos na po yung jutes. The following day, inspection of the house for damages revealed nothing. Seen were some stones the size of a man's fist, the kind that could be found in a stone quarry several kilometers away from the town. The incident happened several times. Even shots fired in the air by policemen. Whoa! Nambaril na yung policemen. Nambaril na yung police. To frighten the prankster, or pranksters were answered only by a rain of stones. Still, no one could find the guilty party. Eventually, everyone attributed this occurrence to a capre. Mysterious things. Capre, probably. Near the lot where the house stands was a huge nara tree, said to be the home of the capre. When the tree was cut, the capre took its revenge. He was so angry that he vowed revenge. Okay, umulit lang yung sentence. Since the woodcutter was also invincible against evil spirits for some odd reason, the capre took revenge on the house. This explains the hordes of mosquitoes which swarmed around the searchers every time they went under the rimas and santol trees. The presence of a capre, they said, is always preceded by a swarm of mosquitoes. Oh my God, tungkol sa Angelus yung last. Nara na to eh. Nara to eh. Ewan ko, I think coconut yung dun sa iba kasi I think it's coconut kasi malapit siya sa sa dagat. Nangyari yung story. So mas coconut yung nandun. I don't know kasi may nadinig din ng kapre sa akasya. I don't think papili sila sa puno basta matanda. Yeah. I know kahit saang puno sila. Kasi yung alam ko din na kapre dati was like, saan ba yung kapre dun sa kamag-anak ko? Hindi siya akasya eh. Limot ko na. Basta hindi siya akasya, hindi siya nara. Mabaho siyang puno. I don't remember the name. Like me, di mapili sa puno kasi what on... Oh. Okay, last kapre story. Alam niyo pa naman kung ano yung Angelus, right? It's the prayer that's being done every 6 p.m. for the guardian angels or kay Mama Mary. I forget. May lola ako na super kapag 6 p.m. kailangan tigil mo lahat ng ginagawa mo. Magdadasal tayo for 30 minutes. That's the Angelus. Old folks say that the capre are afraid of Angelus. 6 p.m. siya, I swear to God. Bakit ka matatakot sa 12 noon? Hindi tulog pa yung capre ng 12 noon. Right? Right? Baka parang ako, tulog ng 12 noon. Wait lang, google ko. Anong oras ang Angelus? Okay, tatlo. 9 p.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m. Yung 6 p.m. yung alam ko. Tatlo pala guys, tatlo siya. Hindi ako religious, okay? Alam ko lang pinipilit akong magdasal ng 6 ni Lola. Old folks say that the capre are afraid of Angelus, so they make their attacks after the sun goes down. The old woman was never bothered by the capre for she was very religious. Oh, this is from the same house. Okay, sige Lola. Capre are afraid of religious people because they always have rosary beads and a holy cross with them. The house was blessed by the parish priest and the capre stopped its pranks and was never heard from that day. Okay, so, tama tayong dalawa, 12 noon and 6 p.m. yung capre. So, moral lesson of the story, don't go chopping random trees. Also, wait lang, bukas ba yung... Okay, don't go chopping random trees. Also, always bring a rosary para hindi ka atakihin ng kapre. But, kapre kinda hot though. Your Honor, that's our story about kapre. A+. New Paul. Paul. Ano pa ba yung meron ako dito? Duwende. Nag-add ba? Feeling ko nag-add. Try ko nga mag-snooze ads for 5 minutes. Sa kalagitnaan ng poll, wait lang, pangit yung timing ko ng ads. Man. Woohoo! Bakit walang lugar yung Is There a Capre in the House, no? Nangyari naman siya mostly sa Panay. Napanood niyo guys yung Dandansoy? It's like this 20-minute movie or short film about a net shop boy na tinutulungan niyang umuwi sa kanila yung aswang na matandang babae na nakikigamit ng computer sa kanila. I think I linked it sa Kasuso dati. Okay, hanapin ko siya. Dandansoy, There we go. I think pwede pa rin siyang panoorin for free. Oh my god, sa trailer ko na lang siya nakikita. Sige, lilink ko siya sa Discord. Because I can. Ano to nakikita ko? Mion's Cabinet of Sauce Reveal. Mion. Do it. Do it, Mion. Sino yung nag-share ng ano? Sino yung nag-share ng Magic Kingdom? Hindi ko pa pala napapanood yung Magic Kingdom. Whoop. Oh no, nag-aaway yung pusa sa labas. Eh, yo, Mion? Yeah, may tweet si Mion. Papakita niya na ba yung saucy ano niya? Yung kanyang saucy shelf. Kasi alam ko meron talaga eh. Meron siyang one full bookshelf. One full shelf. Puno lang siya ng saucy. Saucy. Very, very saucy figurines. Man. Kailangan mo siyang rentahin. Oh wait, no. May promo code siya. Okay, nasa Discord na siya kung gusto yung panoorin. Alam ko napanood ko to na libre. Ah, okay, walang boto. Manghuhula ko. Anong masarap kwentuhin ngayon? Aswang tayo? Aswang? Aswang. Wait lang, hindi ko natanggal yung bookmark nun sa kapre. Hala? Asan yun? Si Mion at ang kanyang saucy shelf. Key. Ha, pupu, dun, 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 dun. Good night. Good night, Ivan. A Legend of the Aswangs. Yak, Tagalog. Joke. The white people of the... Sorry. Sorry. Hindi na po ako mga away ng Tagalog. Yabang ko mga away ng Tagalog. Akala mo wala ako sa ano, Kalabay Zone. Whoops. Okay, so A Legend of the Aswangs from the Tagalog region. First person protagonist na naman siya. When I was a little boy, because I'm a little boy, I was told by my grandfather a story about the aswang. The aswang is a person who has the power to change into a kind of monster with a hunger for human flesh. There are two kinds of aswang, the kind that walk and the kind that fly. Ouch. Sorry, tumama sa mic yung libro ulit. Agoy. There we go. Bakit T-pose worthy on the San Telmo to ah? Nalaman natin, hindi kasi ako nagbasa ng advance. The walking kind can appear in any animal's form, but only as a man. It is his custom to sleep by day and to wander at night in the form of whatever animal he may choose. Wait, that's unfair. Gusto ko din maging hayop. If an aswang doesn't go at night to wander around, he becomes sick. The aswang enters the garden to destroy plants, but if you know his real name and call it, he will stop at once. So, like, if may nakita kang like baboy or something, sumigaw kang, hoy, Hermogenes Kepwing, itigil mo yan. and Hermogenes Kepweng talaga yung pangalan niya, titigil siya. The aswang loved to wait under the house of a pregnant woman waiting for the birth of the child to steal the baby. There were times when pregnant women didn't want to go away from their houses because they're afraid of aswang and that it would cause a miscarriage. It is the custom of the flying aswang, which is usually female, to mark her body with a certain oil under the arms. Then, stretching her arms from the window, her limbs are left behind and she flies away in the form of some sort of bird to seek food. Now, if those living in the same house wished for the aswang not to return, they can move the limbs to another corner of the room. Wait, ang tanga naman ito. And then the two parts of the body will have difficulty joining. Ililipat mo lang siya. Ililipat mo lang yung lower half and then hindi na niya mahanap. I have questions for Halia. If they cannot join before 4 in the morning, it is impossible ever after. Other charms against aswang are garlic, ashes, and salt. Kailangan mo lang palang igalaw yung ilalim ng... Smart. In the town of Binangunan, in the province of Tayabas, right, lagay mo sa balikbayan box. Oh, where is it? It is said that nearly all the people of town are aswang. Once there was 3 young men who decided to make a tour from town to town, and upon approaching Binangunan, they saw 3 beautiful ladies with bright faces and long hair carrying water from a spring in long hollow bamboo pails. The young men asked, "My queen, can we carry those pails for you?" The ladies granted the young men's request, and afterwards, they all went to the ladies' house where the men slept that night. Well, that was easy. The ladies lived alone in a large, beautifully furnished house. After a long conversation, night came, and they all sat down to eat dinner. After eating, they slept in different chambers because this is a Christian story, and the ladies in the front and the young men in the rear. Of what? Of the house? I'm gonna assume it's the house. After 10 o'clock, the men heard the young ladies stir and go to the back part of the house. Using a bit of oil, they flew away, leaving their 6 lower limbs lying upon a bench. 6 na paa. Okay, got it. After their departure, the young men changed the limbs around so that when the ladies returned at 4, they were very, very confused when it comes to joining their bodies with their lower limbs. When it was nearly 4 in the morning, they asked the men to please put their limbs in the right order, promising to marry them if they did so. Wait, may kasal. These men have very cultured tastes. The young men arranged them in order, so then all the bodies were joined and the 3 became ladies with ordinary bodies. Afterwards, they got married. Oh, maghahanap. You carry the pail, you help them in their house, you mess with their bodies, and then you marry them. Good job. After the wedding, one of the aswang said to their husband, "If you do not wish us to be aswang anymore, we will carry on our packs onto the shore of the sea where you will pluck 3 lemons from the lemon tree." I'm guessing calamansi ito. 3 calamansi from the calamansi tree growing on the shore. Kasi calamansi yung kinikwento ng lolo ko. Okay, so gagawin ko siyang calamansi. Wala namang lemon sa Pilipinas. "And these you must squeeze into 3 jars of water for us to drink. When we have drunk all the water, tie our feet and hang us to the tree. This is not a kink, I swear. Heads downwards, and beat us until we vomit a crow-like thing, which you must cut into small pieces." And the man obeyed, seems legit. Pedro's wife vomited the black thing after a long beating. He cut it into pieces so that she was unable to become an aswang again. The other 2 failed to beat long enough because they're weak out of mercy to their wives, so they were still aswang. Remember, beat your wives. I hate this story. Sometime after this, each couple moved to a separate house. Later, a notice came to the aswangs from their president. May presidente sila of a meeting in their hall far from Binaungan. The two aswangs flew there, carrying their husbands on their backs. As they entered the hall, they saw nearly all the aswangs assembled eating dinner. The four newcomers sat down to also eat, but the two husbands who were not aswang saw that what they were going to eat were flesh of human bodies, such as fingers, ears, yummy. Yet one husband tasted a piece and it tasted fresh. He called for salt. What do you think the aswangs did? All flew away, even the two wives who, however, returned later to get the men and carry them home. Ah, true love, I know, right? Why don't you want an aswang asawa? They can fly you anywhere. Why would you want a normal human wife? She can't fly. A few days after this occurred, the two aswangs left their home at night and went to the meeting of the aswangs, but this time alone. Suddenly, their president ordered the two wives to be put in prison for life as a punishment for what their husbands had done. Okay, this is why you don't want an aswang wife, apparently. When the husbands got tired of waiting for many months for the return of their wives, they decided to go back to their town, leaving their companion, for he had now a good and faithful wife who is not an aswang. I hate this story. These monster fucking men, how dare they? So, actually, if you look at Halia's design, yak pinlog ko si Halia. If you look at Halia's design, and also, I think, sino pa ba yung isang aswang? Mari Tesu from Mito and Halia from Balangay Live. They do have a chick on their model. Especially yung kay Halia nasa loob ng bibig. If you look at Halia's model, and you watch her talk, makakita ka ng chick dun sa loob because that's how women get turned into aswang. Apparently, may papasok na ibon sa katawan mo and then it starts eating you inside out. And that's how you become an aswang. Tapos pinapasa siya from generation to generation of aswang. Just, I don't know how. I don't want to ask. But that's the lore. That's the lore. May ibon sila sa loob ng bibig. And that's the legend of aswang. Nasa loob yung ibon. Also, those men are cowards. I mean, man, kinulong sila kasi nanghingi kayo ng asin. And then, hindi sila bumalik. Iniwan nyo na lang sila. How dare? How dare? Right? I thought they were men of culture. I was wrong. I was wrong. Ano pa bang wala tayong kwento? Tikbalang. Gusto yung pauli ng San Telmo? Ayoko na ng San Telmo, guys. Tipo. Sige, San Telmo. In case hindi nyo alam kung paano tumalo ng San Telmo, we're gonna find out. Again. Together. Diablo. 1 vote for Diablo. Bakit tunog may nagwa-washing machine ng alas 10 ng gabi? Washing machine ba talaga yun? Or wait lang. Bakit trending yung Will You Do the Fandango? Kasi kay Scaramouche, anak ng Genshin Impact, of course. Of course, Genshin Impact yung may kasalanan. Oh, meron pala ditong lore galing sa lugar ni na Isay. Nice. Wait lang, mag-iyo. Init. Ang init. Mm-hmm. Anak ng ano, na-out dito yung joke mo? Wait, nawala ako. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Hala, asan yung ano ko? There we go. Diablo. Okay. Anyari sa akin, nawala ako for a while. Nag-on lang ako ng electric fan. Kesa mag-exorcist yung model ko. Ay shit, I can't spell. Landas de Diablo. Which I understand is a story from Marikina specifically. Specifically about Marikina. Ouch. Landas de Diablo. Once there lived in the barrio of Malanday, Marikina, a farmer who had a daughter. Report of whose beauty spread far and wide. I'm assuming the daughter was beautiful, not the farmer, pero pwede na rin. Many young men sought to win her hand, but Marikita, which was her name, turned a deaf ear to all of their pleadings. One of her most ardent suitors was a young man from San Mateo, a nearby pueblo, the son of the richest man in town. His name was Kabanalan. His parents had wanted him to become a priest, but on his way to Manila to study, a stranger had introduced him to pass by a field in which the farmer and his beautiful daughter were working. Imagine being named Kabanalan though. At the sight of her, Kabanalan immediately changed his plans, did not continue his journey to Manila, and was soon a constant caller at the house of the farmer. Pahamak talaga pumunta ng Maynila, no? Ang dami mo nakikitang friendly people. All his plans and ambitions gave way to his desire to marry the girl. At first, his parents opposed him in this, but finally they consented. The girl's father also liked him, but Marikita remained cold to all of his wooing. He only redoubled his efforts to win her favor. He entered into the customary service of the family, namamanhikan siya, carried water, cut wood, and on moonlit nights he would play to her on his guitar. He helped her at her washing in the river, followed her around like a humble dog. But everything was in vain. She doesn't like you, my dude. From the beginning of this passionate but seemingly hopeless suit, a mysterious and strange-looking man had been seen observing Kabanalan and Marikita. It was he who had first spoken to Kabanalan and induced him to pass by the way of the farmer's field. Occasionally he was seen to smile. One evening, Marikita was seated in front of the window of her hut. It was raining hard, and the path over which she had to pass to reach the high road was underwater. This is a story from Marikina. The following day would be a Sunday, and she wanted to go to church. She was trying to think of some way to reach the road without wetting her feet. Ang hirap ng problema niya. Suddenly, she heard a voice. Mariquita, you won't be able to get across this muddy place without getting your feet wet when you go to church tomorrow. She looked up and saw an odd stranger. She was taken by surprise but remained silent. Kabanalan loves you above all else. He will do anything you ask from him, went on the strange man. Remember what I told you, my beauty. And with this last remark, he disappeared unnoticed by the girl, who, when she awoke from the thoughts that had been suggested to her, saw that the man was gone and Kabanalan was coming up to the muddy path towards the hut. Again he told her that he loved her, pleaded for her to become his wife and to come live with him in his pueblo. Kabanalan swore that he would do anything to make her happy, like a simp for a VTuber, as if half in a daze the girl told him, tomorrow is a Sunday, and I want to go to church. If you can make a very straight path above the rice paddies from here to the main road so I can walk over it tomorrow morning very early, I will marry you any time you want. Delirious with joy, the young man promised to do what she asked, but on his way home he began to think of what he had promised. It was impossible. Should he go back and tell her so? No, he thought miserably. I'd rather die. He came to a big mango tree, and out of the shadow stepped a stranger. Asking him what it is that troubled him so, Kabanalan told him the whole story. I will make a bargain with you, said the man. I'll engage to make the straight path tonight and have it ready for the maiden's use very early tomorrow morning. His strange friend spoke so convincingly that Kabanalan accepted the offer without hesitation. Tell me what I must do to pay you, he begged. He was ready to give half his wealth, just half. I don't need your possessions, said the stranger. Keep them. Marry the girl. Live happily. When you die, give me your soul. Kabanalan hardly stopped to think about it. He consented, and the pact was made in blood, ancient Filipino simps. Very early the next morning, Mariquita was surprised to see her wish fulfilled. A straight, high-foot path led from the door of her hut to the main road. At the end of the straight path stood Kabanalan in his best clothes, waiting for her. Tomorrow we will get married, dearest, he whispered in her ears. Kabanalan requested his parents to speak to Mariquita's father, and this was done the same day. Everything was now ready. All the inhabitants in the nearby barrios were invited to feast. Everyone was making merry, and the two happy lovers were ready to go to church for the marriage ceremony. There was the carriage on the main road at the end of the path to take them in state. But as they walked with light feet over the path, the devil suddenly appeared and blocked their way. He seized the unhappy bridegroom, and in a whirl of fire, the devil and his victim disappeared. The people, stricken with horror, fled. Later, the body of Mariquita was found floating in the river where Kabanalan used to get the water for the house. This all happened, it is said, many years ago. But the path still exists and is called Landas de Diablo by the people, who regard it with superstitious fear. It is still one of the many wonders in Marikina. Punta tayo Marikina, guys. Let's find this place. So yun, don't be a sip, moral story. Also, man, or Kabanalan could have just offered na bubuhatin niya si ate girl papuntang simbahan. Her feet wouldn't have to be wet, and Hindi niya kailangan makipag-deal sa Diablo. But, in love si kuya eh. Who am I to stop him? Lagyan mo ng plastic yung paa niya. Wala pa atang plastic nun. Wala pang plastic nun. Ano ba meron ako? Sirena, duwende, taong hasangan, tikbalang, banana leaf. Kaya ba siya? Hindi ba mapuputol yung banana leaf? Is there a capre in the house? Da 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 da. Hindi ko alam kung anong kinakanta ko. Mangkukulam? Yeah. Maybe multiple layers of banana leaf. Maybe. Ahem. Anong nangyayari kaya Bagat? Bakit magwawala daw siya? Magsasabi siya ng masasamang mga words. Dan soy da 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 na na na. Wait lang, hanapin ko tuloy bigla kung ano yung storya na yun. Na 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 da 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 na na da 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 da. Itong nilagay ko na sugsugot. Hindi pala duwende yung storya ko. Nuno pala siya. Ano na? Wait. Alam ko may nilagay ako ditong duwende eh. Duwende. Ang weird kasi ng difference ng duwende tsaka ng nuno. Parang kapag mabait duwende siya, tapos, or like, morally ambiguous duwende siya. Let's go. Hello! Hi, Moshi! Thank you for the raid. Hello, Moshi! Wait lang ah. Diba na storytelling ka din today? Or like, mas global yung scope ng storytelling ni Moshi. Hi, Moshi! Meowshi raid. Meowshi raid. Kamusta yung storytelling nyo? Happy Halloween! Okay, duwende or taong hasangan. Taong hasangan na lang kasi lolo ko yung nagbigay sa akin ng storya ng taong hasangan, okay? Happy Halloween! I'm gonna read a folklore that came from my lolo. Ito yung title na pinili ng lolo ko doon sa story ha. Lolo ko nagsulat nito. Lolo ko nagsulat nito. Hindi ko gets yung reference niya. This is from my lolo. Yes. Virginia. Sino si Virginia? I don't know. There are aquamen among us. From Magin Lolo. This is a story from my lolo. Oh, okay, okay. Matino ba net ko? Feeling ko sabog yung net minsan ng, kasi kakabagyo lang. There we go. Among Us. Among Us. Yung lolo ko yung nagbigay nito. Yung lolo ko, okay, he knows that I read folklore stories online. Ang tawag niya dito is tawag niya yung pang sa social media ko. So, nag-submit siya ng kwento. Tungkol sa kaibigan niya. Tinadax ako ng lolo ko. Tapos yung lolo ko, yung kwento pa na sinabit ng lolo ko tungkol sa mga taong isda. Kasi, hindi ko alam kung anong nahulaan ba ng lolo ko? Kung ano yung... Anyway, tinadax ba kami ni lolo? Anyway, this is a story from my lolo with the title, Yes, Virginia, There Are Aquamen Among Us. Mang Ben was our family driver. He was about in his early 60s when he died around 2 decades ago. Wow, dinax ni lolo. During his younger days, he liked to travel a lot, leaving his home and going places to seek adventure. Oh no. Sana hindi, di ba? Kasi feeling ko madadax ako ng lolo ko kapag viewer siya eh. At one time, he got work as a pilot of a small vessel. Pilot as in piloto ng barko. Hindi siya piloto ng... Wait lang. Barko ba to? I think so. Hindi ko alam. Lolo ano to? His work was to haul white rocks from a small island of Bohol and deliver it to a western coast of Leyte for a rad contractor whom he said was the actress Caridad Sanchez. Ewan ko, pilot yung gamit ni Lolo eh. Binabasa ko lang. He had an assistant, a young man in his early 20s. So, for about a month, they plied the 2 coastal points from Leyte to Bohol and vice versa. One day, when they were far off from the shore, the young man said, "Tito, let me go down and hunt for fish." And Mang Ben nodded. So the young man dove into the water. Mang Ben waited for his ward to come out from the water for 2 minutes or so, the normal length of time a man would usually dive in water. He waited for 3 minutes, 4, 5. The young man did not come out. So naturally, he was worried that something might have happened. But lo! Yeah, my grandpa wrote but lo. Let me write it. But lo! But lo! After about an hour, the young man came out of the water. Mang Ben got mad at him. He thought he could have become a victim of a shark. But the young man told him to calm down. The young man confessed that he was a hasangan. Hasang, gills. A man with gills similar to that of a fish. He flapped an ear to show to his boss the part of the back of his ear, which has a thin flap of flesh that slightly opened and closed regularly. Don't look at my ears. He wore long hair to hide his ears. So they feasted on his catch, special species that can only be caught in the high seas. They did this every day and sold the remaining catch to the people in the beach. This earned them the envy of resident fishermen. So Mang Ben and his ward later left the job, sensing the hostility of the residents. Mang Ben promised that he would never reveal the secret of his ward, and yet we know this now. Lolo Ben, what have you done? They parted ways. Mang Ben sought other adventures while the young man may have returned to his hometown in Karkar or other places seeking adventures. Being an aquaman, again my grandfather's words, being an aquaman is more of a liability than an asset. Yes, you have a special ability, but it's a burden. You're deprived of freedom. Early before you get up in the morning, curiosity seekers, mga chismosa, mga chismoso, eager to see you personally, would have already surrounded your house. When you go out, people would flock around you. They will be as thorns on your side. You will be deprived of your privacy. And more than that, there could be bad people who want to kidnap you for personal gain. hold you as a hostage. They will order you to locate treasures in sunken ships. You will be ordered to do as they please. They know where your family or close relatives live, and that is blackmail. Or you could be a special attraction in a circus or carnival, you inside a glass tank full of water. Whichever, an Aquaman would be stripped of his privacy and freedom. And so what these special people want is to remain incognito, said my grandfather who sent me this story. Sometimes Aquaman are also VTubers, but Hi Eloy! This is the first time that I'm actually streaming this at night. Usually 5 p.m. siya ng Saturday. I might move it kasi lagi kong natatimingan yung cons. Last Saturday of the month is usually a con day. Yeah, I might move folklore streams after this. Province peeps be very chismoso. And that was a story from my lolo entitled Yes, Virginia, There Are Aquamen Among Us. Among Us. Let's see. Ano pa bang? We have Duende, we have Nuno, we have Shokoy. Mangkukulam. Tikbalang. There we go. I don't know. Alam ba ni Lolo kung ano yung Among Us? I hope not. I hope not. So far, we've talked about the Banwaanon of Cebu, the Kapre who lives in Panay, Aswangs of the Tagalog region, the Landas de Diablo of Marikina, and Aquaman. Featuring Aquaman, my grandfather's favorite superhero. Probably. I wouldn't know. Oh no, Mino has discovered a cat girl model and now he's streaming as a cat girl. Mino, no. Anyway, there's a poll ulit on the next story. If nothing wins, manghuhula ako. Man, Catboy Mino is going to be a thing. Also, Balangay Live Gen Zero debuts on November 19, Mino Minokawa and BB Bakunawa, and on November 20, Sai Sai, followed by a collab of all three of them playing one game. I don't know what game yet, but chaos. Also, birthday stream ni BB and ni Mino sa November 2 to 3. They will be getting drunk. Thank you for the Hydrate Redeem Pizza. I don't know what else is going to happen other than they're drunk. But you know what? Whole ass mood. Sana lasing ako. Sana lasing ako. Inubos ko lahat ng alak nung Mino eats frozen hot dog on stream. Why not real? Inubos ko lahat ng alak ko nung walang kuryente. I don't know why. Maybe to add extra difficulty levels to yung hindi mo na nga nakikita kung asan ka, lasing ka pa. Fun. Because I don't know. Ayoko na mawala yung lamig niya. I didn't know how long ako mawawala ng kuryente. Nung nag-Yolanda, it was 1 whole week. So I was kind of anticipating. Baka mawala yung lamig, guys. Baka hindi na siya malamig. Asa na yung duwende story na... May nilagay pala akong sirena story dito. I don't know why. Di makalaro si Magic. Tama yan. And fire. Yeah. Sino si Andoy? Bakit siya may beautiful lady? Okay, there we go. Story title number 6. Look. Your Honor, wala namang nasunog na ano eh. 3 Duende Legends from Southern Leyte. Compilation na naman tayo. Wait lang ah. Wala namang nasunog, so no foul. I've also befriended the cats to the point na they've accepted me as one of their own. May nag-iwan ng patay na daga sa labas ng bahay. I'm going to have to clean that up. So, these are 3 Duende legends from Southern Leyte. The first one being the strange air travel. According to this informant, dahil chismoso tayo, dwarves are around but they cannot be seen for they have protean and ethereal bodies. Ano yung protean? Right? Patay na daga sounds like an offering by cat. Here, human, you can't hunt for shit. Have a dead rat. Okay, so duende, they're only visible at will. To prove this informant told this story. A son of a certain Virak said that they could travel by air from one place to another. There was even a time when Virak yung pangalan ng tao, what the hell? Father saw a man sleeping in his house. Oo nga kama yung kay Ilu. The man turned out to be his son who was living in Surigao. The father inquired how he happened to be in his house. The son said that he rode with a duende from Surigao to Amparo in Leyte. Wait, what? Who needs air travel? Tangina, sumakay na lang tayo ng duende. Okay, second tale, The Lost Child. A couple, one guy named Roman Galdeo and his wife, left their 2-year-old child in their house when they were out to tend their garden in the backyard. Coming in to prepare lunch, they found out that the child was nowhere in the house, so they got scared. They searched every place and asked for help from their neighbors. They failed. 3 days after, when they had practically lost all hope of finding their child, the missing child returned home without his clothes and he had bruises all over his body. The child said he was taken by little men to a nice place. The child is still alive. Duende story ba to? This sounds like a kidnapping. Are you sure duende to? Are you? Are you? Third story, The American and the Dwarfs. What? An American had a skin itch. He went to Manila to have this treated. He spent thousands of pesos for treatments but could not find any cure for his itchy skin. Hopeless, he returned to the province and hired an albulario. The albulario told him that he had incurred the wrath of the dwarves and the skin itch was a punishment. For this, a series of incantations and prayers were made, and for only 2 pesos, his skin disease was cured. I hate this tale. I hate all of these tales. Wala pong nangyari sa anak niyo. Duwende lang po yun. Duwende. Duwende lang yun. Nothing bad. Okay, let's just... I don't like these tales about the duwende. I don't like the duwende. Wrath of the Dwarfs. Ay, sirena ako. Duwende dyan. Hindi ako nagsa-start, hindi ako nag-i-inflict ng galis sa mga Amerikano. What the fuck? Kulang lang sa ligo yun. Dagtag tayo ng isa pang kwento ng duwende kasi nandiri ako. The Duendes, a story from Bohol. A very short story from Bohol. Ang saucy nung nangyari sa bata. Okay. The old house of the Clarins in Tagbiliran was believed to be inhabited by duendes, small, clever people who are fond of playing pranks, such as kidnapping children and returning them naked and filled with bruises. I hate that tale. One day, the servant of the house was drunk. He became very noisy and talked badly against the duendes. Finally, he fell asleep. When he woke up in the morning, he found himself naked and lying under the coconut trees. Bakit laging hubad? He ran away to his home with an astonished wife waiting for him. When he was about to go to his regular work in the house, he started looking for his pants. After a lot of searching, he found them around one of the posts of the house. Funny prank! Who could have placed them there without ripping the seams? The seams were intact. The pants could not be taken out without ripping them. The poor man cut the pants with a pair of scissors. So they thought that this is a prank by the duendes who had supernatural powers. At other times, the owner of the house, who was a businessman, heard mysterious messages of warning, which, when followed, would lead to successful business ventures. The owners never drove this duende away because they brought good fortune and good luck. They endured the pranks played upon them without a murmur. Sometimes they could not eat their breakfast on time, for these mysterious little beings would hang the chocolate pots on the ceiling to the annoyance of all concerned. Okay. Okay, sinusukat ang tower ng mga tao. Bakit naked lagi, di ba? Bakit naked lagi? But that's the duende. Yung chocolate pot, ano siya? Ano nga tawag doon? Batirol? Yung panggawa ng sikwate. Yung iniinom for breakfast na chocolate. Sobrang thick niya. Holy shit. Sikwate. Okay, fine. Tablea and cocoa din yung tawag. But like sikwate, guys. Sikwate kasi. I will die on this hill. Masarap ang sikwate. Sikwate. It's technically the same. Oy. Ayan o, sikwate, the closest you'll get to drinking pure raw chocolate. Kino-coat niya yung chan mo. Nakakalasing siya. Drink in moderation. Pero iniinom siya for breakfast. Uy. Gumagawa yung lola ko nan sometimes. Talagang teacups ang talaga yung may inom mo at a time kasi is thick. Is very thick. Ano pa bang hindi natin? Tikbalang, mangkukulam, syokoy, nuno sa punso. Nuno sa punos? What the fuck is a nuno sa punos? How old? 80? Yeah. I think hindi ko. Yeah. Naabutan pa nila yung Japanese. Yeah. Yep. Mangkukulam. Hala, ubos na tubig ko. Dinox pala ng lolo ko yung sarili niya, no? And by doing that, lolo. Oh well, that's fine. We're gonna scrub this from the internet. Except I won't, kasi tinatamad ako. Bakit nagiging catgirl si Mino? Bakit naging catgirl si Mino? Mino, why are you a catgirl? Umitingin ako sa Twitter habang nagpo-poll. Nakikita ko lang si Mino na nagka-catgirl. Si Ilo, kapag chicks yung nag-i-invite ng ng phasmophobia. It's like, yes. Kapag kami parang, ganyanan na. Hindi, sige. Phasmo tayo, phasmo. Phasmo. May pera na ako finally pambili ng stuff sa phasmo. Tapos, si Mion yung ipang-agitate natin ng laglaga na. Ano lang naman yan eh. Kapag si Mion yung nang-agitate ng multo, ako yung namamatay sa phasmo. I don't know why it's unfair. Ay, may nahanap akong meme para sa sarili ko. Oo, si Mayor Mao na. Okay, ano nanalo? Mangkukulam. There we go. This is a story from lugar ni Naisay. Ay, hindi. Hindi siya tungkol sa ano. Wait lang ah. Okay, oo nga. Galing nga to sa lugar ni Naisay. The Legend of Nanan from Surigao. Lugar ng madaming mangkukulam. Once again, Saysay VT going to debut as a part of Balangay Live November 20. Bibi Bakunawa and Mino Minokawa will be on November 19. Nakalimutan ko yung oras. Wait lang cheat. Okay, alas 7 si Bibi, alas 9 si Mino, alas 7 si Isay. There we go. Okay. Ouch. The Legend of Kinanan from Surigao. On the northwestern side of Bacuag lies a small river of Kinanan, which starts at the lake and flows down to the sea. The lake is deep and clear. It's like a mirror that can be seen, in which can be seen the clouds by day and the stars by night. The lake is so beautiful that children often swim in it. Many people go to picnics along its banks. On the riverbank are 3 big trees which look like a giant tripod when viewed from a distance. In the lake are many fish, some of them curious shapes and colors. They are caught not only by fishermen who wish to sell them, but also by men and children who like to fish for fun. The river is said to be enchanted. Nearby are many encanto. Whenever one crosses this river, inexplicably he has the compulsion to swim there, and when one does, he drowns because of these unseen beings. Wow! Recently, just 2 children, 9 and 10 years old, drowned at the mouth of the river, although their parents and relatives were swimming in the nearby sea. Malayo yun ah. Nevertheless, on the feast of St. Peter and Paul, every June 29, many still go to the lake and swim. The story is that long ago, Bakawag was a sparsely settled place. The village was small, and the only houses that were found were along the shores. The houses were far from one another, and the settlers were all Boholanos. Okay, quick history of some places in Mindanao. Madaming nagsettle na people from Visayas. Like at around the 1940s, I think. Kasi according to my lolo, Mindanao was marketed as a place of milk and honey and opportunity because there's a lot of land and a lot of things to work on. But it may also be partially to keep the Muslim population from spreading and to keep um the rebel groups from also spreading. Yeah. Anyway, nangyari siya sa Mindanao. So, this part of Surigao had a lot of Boholanos. Jensan has a lot of Ilocanos. I realized na hindi yan Visayas. Davao has a lot of Ilonggos. Anyway, so Bakawag had a lot of Boholano settlers. One day, two strangers landed on the shores of Bakawag. They were a young man and his wife sailing on a baroto. They told the people that they, too, came from Bohol and wanted to settle in Bakawag. They were welcomed by the old settlers who had helped them build a new hut. Two of the neighbors, Poloy and Tinan, were so good to them that whatever food they had, they shared with their new neighbors who also ate whatever was given to them. A few weeks later, Tinan invited the woman of this new couple to a banquet. It was held on Friday night. Ika, the wife, accepted the invitation and asked whether she could bring her husband along. Tinan didn't even want Ika's husband to know, saying that the feast was for women only. Uh-oh, saucy. Ika promised to go without her husband's consent. At 10 o'clock that Friday night, while her husband was asleep, Ika heard a strange call coming from the roof of the house. Wak, 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 it went on. Looking out of the window, she saw Tinan signal that it was time for them to go out. Ika quietly left the hut and joined Tinan. Tinan taught Ika how to fly, and she was astonished to find out that she also had wings that enabled her to fly like Tinan. And without meaning to, she would hear herself say, "Wak wak." She followed Tinan until they reached the 3 big trees on the riverbank. Ika saw 9 women dancing from one branch to another. She and Tinan joined in their merrymaking. Later, food was served. After eating, they threw away what was left, including the big bones that they gnawed. These banquets continued every Friday night. Then, about 1 month later, Ika's husband noticed that his wife kept going out of the hut. He asked about it. At first, she pretended that she didn't understand what he was talking about. Like, what? Me leave every Friday? You're crazy. You're crazy. Sheesh. But her husband kept insisting and finally threatened to leave her if she did not tell the truth. Afraid of losing her husband, fucking coward, Ika revealed all that she had been doing with Tinan. The husband, from Ika's revelation, saw that his wife became a witch. He sought the advice of an old woman who was known to be an effective tambalan, medicine woman. The tambalan made Ika drink an oil mixture that he brought with him, also known as lana. Then he poured oil in some dry branches of leaves and buried them under the hut. Ika showed the tambalan the 3 leaves where the 3 trees where they used to eat. The tambalan dug a hole in each tree and placed a bunch of dry leaves dipped in oil in every hole. That very afternoon, Tinan visited Ika. However, she did not stay long. She seemed uncomfortable and kept scratching her body. Finally, Tinan left. One early morning, 3 days after Tambalan's visit, a baroto with gray sail was seen sailing away. In it were Tinan's family and three other families. They went on their journey without saying goodbye to their neighbors. They never returned to Bakawag. Ika's adventures with the witches became known by all the people living in the place because chismoso tayong mga Pinoy. People started referring to the riverbank on which can be seen the pieces of big bones as kinanan. Gikaun, meaning eating place, because the piles of bones could be seen left over from the witches' banquet. There are those who say that Kinanan is no longer enchanted, but there are also those who say that in the darkness of the night, the strange noise one hears is made by witches that still inhabit the place. Wak, 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 wak. Man, infinite power though. Infinite power. Witches and stuff. Cowards. These aswang stories frustrate me. Just be an aswang. Eat some humans. For the sake of infinite power. Like, why be a human again? Why? Why? Why though? Why though? Okay, last two stories. So let's go. Tikbalang. Ano pa bang meron? Shokoy? What else do we have? Nuno sa punso, right? Mm-hmm. Ano pa bang meron? Okay, right. Okay. May poll po ulit tayo. Kung ano manalo, yun na yun. Meanwhile, I'm going to get some water. Naubos na pala yung laman nung ano ko. Maganda na yung BRB screen ko, guys. Ay, wait. Wala pala akong BRB screen. Eto na lang ulit. up. Ano yung ano? Nagnig pala na nagtuturn ako ng page, oh. Sorry. Malapit lang yung mic sa libro. Okay, sige. Hindi ko pa nagagawa yung tikbalang stories before. Also, bakit wala pang tikbalang VTuber? Guys, come on. Tikbalang do. Okay. The tikbalang. The tikbalang is a very tall and thin man. It is said that the color of his body is dark. His limbs are as thin as the limbs of a skeleton, and his head is like that of a horse. The tikbalang live in trees, usually in bamboo. These trees are distinguished from others because they are clean. If a person happens to pass one of these trees, the tikbalang will take him by the hand, hand-holding, and lead him astray. The man will never again find the right road unless he takes off his clothes and wears them inside out. It is said that when persons are stepped on by a tikbalang, they will have a headache or they will become blind. Sometimes they get a fever. To cure these sickness caused by the tikbalang, persons must use a lipang aso, which is a kind of leaf. I know, right, body on my hand holding, and the so-called tiyanak hair, which is found in balete trees. This lipang aso or tiyanak hair is a remedy that must be taken to the place where the person was trampled upon by the tikbalang. Then it must be turned. In this way, the person will get well in a short time. The tikbalang possesses other powers such as making people crazy and turning them into the form of a horse. These powers are shown by these two stories. Wala bang babaeng tikbalang? I have questions. Avoid natin, no? Avoid natin. Avoid natin yung mga tikbalang may hand-holding. Tapos tatapakan ka pa. Sheesh. Once upon a time, there lived a couple who had a son. It happened that one day, while this one young man was on the balcony of their house at about 7 o'clock in the evening, a lady came in front of the house. Wait lang, babae na to. She asked him to go with her. The man went with her, for he thought she was his sweetheart. The young lady resembled very much his sweetheart. This man did not return for 2 days. Wait, may babaeng tikbalang. His parents became impatient over his absence, so they went to search for him. After a few days of search, they found him in the forest. He was running after a horse with a very tired look. Oh no! His parents threw a rope in order to catch him. When he was brought home, he was found to be crazy. Since then, he has remained in that state. His parents found no remedy to cure him. He's in love with a horse now. Goodbye, 2 days of hand-holding. Wait lang, tungkol sa babae ito eh. Babasahin ko lang kasi medyo saucy yung ano. Okay, another story about the girl is told in connection with the tikbalang. The girl was also lost and taken by the tikbalang. Her family couldn't find her, but after 3 days, she was found at the tip of a bamboo. She came down and ran so fast that her pursuers could not catch her. When their attempt to catch her was in vain, they let her go and went home to find other means in order to take her. The next day, a man riding in a bangka passed by the tree where the tikbalang lived. It was there he chanced that a big thing suddenly fell down. The man found that it was a girl. When he looked above, he saw a person sitting on his heels with an ugly look. The family of the girl, hearing the news, went to get her, but to their great distress, nahulog siya sa malaking kawayan, so she's dead. She's dead. Wala namang nakahubad dun sa kwento. Let's find another tikbalang story. Malay mo, makahanap tayo ng nakahubad. Hanap tayong bold. Walang bold. Ano ba yan? Yung duwende madaming bold, pero yung tikbalang, surprisingly wala. Nababaliw lang yung mga tao. Minsan namamatay. Yee. I mean, technically, nakahiga yung babae dahil, she fell from a tree. Okay, yung ibang stories lang are like people na nagkakasakit after getting lost in the forest and kasalanan yun ng tikbalang. And, some people na dinasalan yung tikbalang and so they got healed because Jesus saves. Yun po yung kwento ng mga tikbalang. Minsan magbabaliktad ka ng damit. May nadinig din ako na sinabi na kapag winala ka ng tikbalang, murahin mo siya. I don't know why. I guess because the tikbalang is a type of person who likes hand-holding and gentle touches. More hurt yung feelings mo kapag feelings niya kapag minura mo siya and then you'll go away. Probably. Tikbalang VTubers, where are you? Bakit wala pa? Come on. Balangay Live, Gen 4, tikbalang lahat. Ako gagawa. Magre-rebrand ako. Okay, last. Hanap tayo ng last. I mean, ako na naman yung nagkukwento. Gawin na nating sirena. Sirena or Shokoy? Actually, medyo saucy yung Shokoy eh. Okay, medyo saucy yung Shokoy. Doon tayo sa sirena. Bata kasi yung tinatarget ng mga Shokoy eh. At least si Sirena matanda na. Diba? Finally, matangkad na ako. Kapag naging tikbalang ko, tatangkad ako. Okay, last story. Wala siyang lugar na sinabi. Okay, later. There we go. Mas maganda pa rin yung ties, no? Kasi tikbalang eh. Bakit walang tikbalang VTuber? Ako yung magsisimp eh. Ako mag-rebrand. Gusto ko ako yung magsisimp. Okay, last story. The Sea Nymph, a story from Leyte. In a romantic village called San Roque in Tolosa, Leyte, there lived a young man by the name of Rodrigo who lived along the seacoast. Reared by parents who earned their livelihood by fishing, Rodrigo also became a fisherman when he grew up, following his father's footsteps after the latter's death. I know, right? Those thick horse ties. Very, very muscular horse ties. Rodrigo was altogether a simple man, good-natured and responsible so that the whole village liked him. Palitan ko yung pangalan. Sige, palitan natin yung pangalan. Ayaw nyo ng Rodrigo. Palitan natin yung pangalan. Roberto. Roberto was altogether a simple man, good-natured and responsible so that the whole village liked him. He was handsome too, the heartthrob of every maiden in the village who knew him. But he had not thought of reciprocating anyone's affections. Not that he was a woman-hater of sorts, but he was sincerely devoted to serving his aging mother. So, mama's boy si Roberto. One late afternoon, Roberto went out fishing with his friend Julian, who was older than him and wiser. being a man of experience. They set sail towards the Leyte Gulf and passed the island of Basay Samar through the part entering the Pacific Ocean. This part of the sea was known for San Telmo, a natural phenomenon to some but regarded as a supernatural occurrence by others, especially by fishermen and the natives of Samar. San Telmo would be like yung fire that's seen above the ocean. It's like a will-o-wisp. It's called San Telmo because it's short for Saint Elmo's fire. Many other strange things were reported to have happened along that portion of that sea, but Roberto was oblivious to all of these. However, Julian, having spent more years in that occupation, was more inclined to these beliefs. He warned Roberto to keep silent should he see anything unusual. It was already dark when the two friends reached the deep part of the sea which held promise of a good catch. Si Elmo, for the fishes here are already bigger in size compared to those in other parts of the sea. The sea was very calm and peaceful, and the huge round moon's brightness was reflected in the water. There was no need for any other kind of light. Suddenly the two men heard a plaintive, melodious sound from a distance, such as they have never heard before. They looked about them and saw a big black ship quite a distance from where they were located. From their small sailboat, they could see men and women dancing merrily and drinking festively on the ship's deck. Hindi pala tungkol ba to Sirena? Okay, yeah, I think we're still, yep. Enticed by the merry sight and sound, Roberto heaved and sighed and wished aloud, "If only I could go to that ship and join them." Julian got mad at him and warned him to be quiet because what they were seeing was no ordinary ship, but an enchanted one. But Roberto seemed not to hear, and he wished again. On the third wish they were startled to hear a muted splash in the water by Roberto's side. They looked down and both were surprised to see a most lovely mermaid. Half of her body from the waist up was human, while the other half was a fishtail clearly visible in the water. The mermaid wore a tiny glittering crown on her head, and her beautiful golden hair was with its unusual length shone in the moonlight. Ay, blondie si ate. Her face was so lovely, soft and gleaming in the silver moon. The water surrounding her brightly shone in almost blinding splendor. The two men stared at the apparition in seeming disbelief, their eyes wide in shock and amazement. The mermaid spoke to Roberto and said, "Do you really want to go on the ship?" "Yes," Roberto answered without delay, obviously enchanted with the sea nymph. "Then come," she invited. Ay, come agad. And before Julian could utter a sound to prevent Roberto, he dove into the water and vanished with the mermaid. As soon as he overcame his dumbfoundedness, Julian started calling for Roberto. He looked around for the black ship, but it was nowhere in sight. "Thank you, OBS." He searched everywhere for Roberto, but in vain. Finally, Julian decided to return to the village, though he feared the anger of Roberto's mother. He rode frantically until he reached the village at dawn. Julian rushed to Roberto's house to tell his mother of her son's plight. Roberto's mother cried hysterically, and in no time the news spread throughout the village. For 9 days, Roberto's mother mourned and had prayed for her lost son. She had no more hope of ever recovering him. After 9 days, Roberto returned to the village to the surprise of everyone. The people who saw him were afraid and some fled. But Roberto swore that he was alive and real and not a ghost. His mother felt him with her hands and was overjoyed to have her son back. Roberto told of his experience after he parted ways with Julian. He said that the mermaid brought him to the black ship through the water, but he could breathe under it. On board the ship, the mermaid's tail became a pair of legs. They danced and made merry the whole night. Uh-oh, saucy. Then the mermaid brought Rodrigo to her kingdom at the bottom of the sea. When she touched the water, her legs turned into a fishtail again. Roberto told them that he was introduced to the king, the merman, and the queen of the kingdom of the sea, also a mermaid. The king and the queen were the parents of the mermaid who took him. They were seated on a huge oyster throne, and in front of them was a beautiful pearl of great size laid on a pedestal. The king and queen had many attendants and soldiers who guarded their kingdom. The fierce sea animals were kind to Roberto. The mermaid lavished upon him all the good things in the kingdom that for 9 days he forgot about his home. On the ninth day, Roberto started to miss his mother, so he pleaded with the mermaid to let him return to his village. She consented and told him that if he wanted to go back to the kingdom, he only had to call her by the seashore. Wait, instant. So was this story told and retold that it quickly spread like wildfire all over the village. Roberto's mother, for fear of losing her son again, warned him to stay away from the sea. Days passed, and Roberto started to miss the mermaid, whom he had come to love because she kind of love bombed him. Hey, why not? One night, when everyone was asleep, Roberto went out and stood by the shore. He called to the sea nymph, and she appeared in no time to take Roberto to his kingdom. From then on, Roberto was never seen again. Because of this incident, old folks advise young men never to make friends with mermaids since they all believe they are not ordinary mortals. No, make friends with us. We're just, gonna love bomb you for 9 days and then maybe eat you and then you'll never be seen again. It's fine. Worth it. Worth it. Guys, befriend the mermaid. Get in her mouth. Let her eat you. Okay? Okay, and that's it for folklore stories about Philippine monsters. Ooh. Na I thought wouldn't happen because binagyo ako. But nakaabot pa rin ako ng like October 31? Yeah! Of course you can trust me. You can trust me. Hindi ko kayo kakainin. Probably. Hindi pa naman ako gutom eh. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, let's raid someone. Ang daming pwedeng i-raid. Ang daming naglalaro ng Halloween, no? Hindi ako nangangagat, guys. Hindi ako nangangagat. Okay. Ang daming naglalaro ng mortuary assistant. Wow. Oh, wait. Maabutan ko siya nag-stream. Okay, guys. Let's raid. Okay, Chainsaw Man. Add yung tumugtog. God damn it. Let's raid Chainsaw Man. Hoy, ilo, ano yan? Kalat. Okay, let's raid Manika Kuramu. Ano siya? Kuramu. Filipino VTuber siya, but her agency is Malaysia-based. She's last time I checked, this time siya, voodoo doll, which na VTuber, but there was a period of time before she rebranded as a voodoo doll, which na mambabarang actually yung lore niya. So, yeah. She makes great art. I love her style. Medyo pop yung style. Hindi siya full anime. Ano tong kalat ni Ilo every time I see chat? Panoorin niyo din po si Illuminande. He started streaming like this week. So, our raid message, if you are A subscriber would be that emote. If you're not a subscriber, it's this emote. Di ka po makalat, sure. And let's raid Manika Kuramu. I have no schedule for the week kasi, natakot ako na mawalan ako ng kuryente or something. So for the first time in my 6+ months of VTubing, wala akong schedule. I'm just going to pimp. November 19 would be the debut date for Bibi Bakunawa and Mino Minokawa. And November 20 would be the debut of Sai Sai for Balangay Live. For more details, please check out our Twitter. Let me just put the Twitter profile. And I'll see you next time maya-maya muli. Paalam! Ay, ayoko nung screen na yan. Gusto ko may ad. There we go.